The Red-Headed League. In this peculiar case, Dr. Watson chronicles the bizarre story of Jabez Wilson, a pawnbroker with fiery red hair who is hired for a lucrative but mysterious job that seems too good to be true. When his employment vanishes overnight, it's up to Sherlock Holmes to unravel one of his most singular and refreshing cases. I had called upon my friend Mr. Sherlock Holmes one day in the autumn of last year and found him in deep conversation with a very stout, florid-faced elderly gentleman with fiery red hair. With an apology for my intrusion, I was about to withdraw when Holmes pulled me abruptly into the room.
You could not possibly have come at a better time, my dear Watson.
I was afraid that you were engaged.
So I am, very much so.
Then I can wait in the next room.
Not at all. This gentleman, Mr. Wilson, has been my partner and helper in many of my most successful cases, and I have no doubt that he will be of the utmost use to me in yours also.
The stout gentleman half rose from his chair and gave a bob of greeting with a quick little questioning glance from his small, fat, encircled eyes.
Try the settee. I know, my dear Watson, that you share my love of all that is bizarre. You have shown your relish for it by the enthusiasm which has prompted you to chronicle, and, if you will excuse my saying so, somewhat to embellish so many of my own little adventures.
Your cases have indeed been of the greatest interest to me.
You will remember, I remarked the other day that, for strange effects, we must go to life itself, which is always far more daring than any effort of the imagination.
A proposition which I took the liberty of doubting.
You did, Doctor, but you must come round to my view. Now, Mr. Jabez Wilson here has begun a narrative which promises to be one of the most singular I have listened to for some time. As far as I have heard, it is impossible for me to say whether the present case is an instance of crime or not, but the course of events is certainly among the most singular. Perhaps, Mr. Wilson, you would have the great kindness to recommence your narrative.
The portly client puffed out his chest with some little pride and pulled a dirty, wrinkled newspaper from his greatcoat. As he glanced down the advertisement column, I took a good look at the man. He bore every mark of being an average British tradesman, obese, pompous, and slow. There was nothing remarkable about him save his blazing red head and the expression of extreme chagrin on his features.
Beyond the obvious facts that he has at some time done manual labor, that he takes snuff, that he is a Freemason, that he has been in China, and that he has done a considerable amount of writing lately, I can deduce nothing else.
Mr. Jabez Wilson started up in his chair, his eyes upon my companion.
How, in the name of good fortune, did you know all that, Mr. Holmes? How did you know I did manual labor? It's as true as gospel, for I began as a ship's carpenter.
Your hands, my dear sir. Your right hand is quite a size larger than your left. You have worked with it, and the muscles are more developed.
Well, the snuff, then, and the Freemasonry?
I won't insult your intelligence by telling you how I read that, especially as you use an arc and compass breastpin.
Ah, of course, I forgot that. But the writing...
What else can be indicated by that right cuff, so very shiny for 5 inches, and the left one with the smooth patch where you rested upon the desk?
Well, but China?
The fish that you have tattooed immediately above your right wrist could only have been done in China. That trick of staining the fish's scales of a delicate pink is quite peculiar to China. When I also see a Chinese coin hanging from your watch chain, the matter becomes even more simple.
A heavy laugh.
Well, I never. I thought at first that you had done something clever, but I see that there was nothing in it after all.
I begin to think, Watson, that I make a mistake in explaining. My poor little reputation will suffer shipwreck if I am so candid. Can you not find the advertisement, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I have got it now. Here it is. This is what began it all. You just read it for yourself, sir.
I took the paper and read, D.O. the Red-Headed League. On account of the bequest of the late Ezekiah Hopkins of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, USA, there is now another vacancy open which entitles a member of the League to a salary of $4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind and above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on Monday at 11 o'clock to Duncan Ross at the offices of the League, 7 Pope's Court, Fleet Street. What on earth does this mean? So, this mean?
Holmes chuckles and wriggles in his chair.
It is a little off the beaten track, isn't it? And now, Mr. Wilson, off you go and tell us all about yourself. You will first make a note, Doctor, of the paper and the date.
It is the Morning Chronicle of April 27, 1890, just 2 months ago.
Very good. Now, Mr. Wilson?
Well, it is just as I have been telling you. I have a small pawnbroker's business at Coburg Square. It's not a very large affair. I used to keep 2 assistants, but now I only keep 1, and I would have a job to pay him, but that he is willing to come for half wages so as to learn the business.
What is the name of this obliging youth?
His name is Vincent Spaulding. I should not wish a smarter assistant, Mr. Holmes. I know he could earn twice what I am able to give him, but if he is satisfied, why should I put ideas in his head?
Why, indeed, you seem most fortunate. I don't know that your assistant is not as remarkable as your advertisement.
Oh, he has his faults too. Never was such a fellow for photography. Snapping away with a camera and then diving down into the cellar like a rabbit into its hole to develop his pictures. But on the whole, he's a good worker. He and a girl of 14, that's all I have in the house. The first thing that put us out was that advertisement. Spaulding, he came down into the office just this day, 8 weeks, with this very paper in his hand, and he says,
I wish to the Lord, Mr. Wilson, that I was a red-headed man.
Why that? I asks. Why, says he, here's another vacancy on the League of the Red-Headed Men. It's worth quite a little fortune. Have you never heard of the League of the Red-Headed Men? He asked. Never, I said. Why, I wonder at that, he says, for you are eligible yourself for one of the vacancies. Well, you can think that that made me prick up my ears. Tell me all about it, said I. Well, said he, the League was founded by an American millionaire, Ezekiah Hopkins, who was himself red-headed. He left his enormous fortune to provide easy berths to men whose hair is of that color. From all I hear, it is splendid pay and very little to do. But, said I, there would be millions of red-headed men who would apply. Not so many as you might think, he answered. It is confined to Londoners and to grown men, and it is no use applying if your hair is light red or dark red or anything but real bright, blazing, fiery red. Now, if you cared to apply, Mr. Wilson, you would just walk in. Now, it is a fact, gentlemen, that my hair is of a very full and rich tint, so I ordered him to put up the shutters and come right away with me. We started off for the address in the advertisement. I never hoped to see such a sight again, Mr. Holmes. Fleet Street was choked with red-headed folk. Every shade of color they were. Straw, lemon, orange, brick, Irish setter, liver, clay. When I saw how many were waiting, I would have given it up in despair, but Spaulding would not hear of it. He pushed and pulled and butted until he got me through the crowd and right up to the steps which led to the office.
Your experience has been a most entertaining one. Pray, continue.
There was nothing in the office but a couple of chairs and a deal table, behind which sat a small man with a head even redder than mine. When our turn came, he was much more favorable to me. He closed the door as we entered for a private word.
This is Mr. Jabez Wilson, and he is willing to fill a vacancy in the league.
And he is admirably suited for it. He has every requirement. I cannot recall when I have seen anything so fine.
He plunged forward, wrung my hand, and congratulated me warmly. It would be injustice to hesitate, said he. You will, however, excuse me for taking an obvious precaution. With that, he seized my hair in both his hands and tugged until I yelled with the pain.
There is water in your eyes. I perceive that all is as it should be. We have to be careful. My name is Mr. Duncan Ross. Are you a married man, Mr. Wilson?
I answered that I had not. His face fell. Dear me, he said gravely, that is very serious indeed. The fund was for the propagation of the redheads as well as for their maintenance. It is exceedingly unfortunate that you should be a bachelor. My face lengthened at this, but after thinking, he said that it would be all right.
We must stretch a point in favor of a man with such a head of hair as yours. When shall you be able to enter upon your new duties?
Well, it is a little awkward, for I have a business already.
Oh, never mind about that, Mr. Wilson. I should be able to look after that for you.
What would be the hours? I asked. 10 to 2. Now, a pawnbroker's business is mostly done of an evening, so it would suit me very well. That would suit me very well, I said. And the pay is for a week, and the work is purely nominal. What do you call purely nominal? Well, you have to be in the office the whole time. If you leave, you forfeit your whole position forever. It's only 4 hours a day, I said, and the work is to copy out the Encyclopedia Britannica. Will you be ready tomorrow? Certainly, I answered. Well, to my surprise and delight, everything was as right as possible. This went on day after day. On Saturday, the manager planked down 4 golden sovereigns for my week's work. 8 weeks passed away like this. I had written about abbots in archery and armor, and then suddenly the whole business came to an end.
To an end?
Yes, sir. This morning, I went to my work as usual, but the door was shut and locked, with a little square of cardboard hammered onto the panel. Here it is.
He held up a piece of white cardboard. It read, "The Red-Headed League is dissolved, October 9th, 1890. Sherlock Holmes and I surveyed this curt announcement and the rueful face behind it until the comical side of the affair so completely overtopped every other consideration that we both burst out into a roar of laughter.
I cannot see that there is anything very funny. If you can do nothing better than laugh at me, I can go elsewhere.
No. I really wouldn't miss your case for the world. It is most refreshingly unusual, but there is something just a little funny about it. Pray, what steps did you take?
I was staggered. I went to the landlord, who said he had never heard of the League. He said the red-headed man's name was William Morris, a solicitor. He'd moved out yesterday to 17 King Edward Street. But when I got there, it was a manufactory of artificial kneecaps, and no one had heard of either Mr. Morris or Mr. Ross.
And what did you do then?
I went home and took the advice of my assistant, but he could not help me. He could only say that if I waited, I should hear by post. But that was not good enough, so I came right away to you.
And you did very wisely. Your case is an exceedingly remarkable one, and I shall be happy to look into it. It is possible that graver issues hang from it than might at first sight appear.
Grave enough. Why, I have lost £4 a week.
As far as you are personally concerned, you are richer by some 30, to say nothing of the minute knowledge you have gained on every subject which comes under the letter A. But I want to find out about them. This assistant of yours, how long had he been with you?
About a month then.
Why did you pick him?
Because he was handy and would come cheap, at half wages.
What is he like, this Vincent Spaulding?
Small, stout-built, very quick in his ways. No hair on his face, though he's not short of 30.
I thought as much. Have you ever observed that his ears are pierced for earrings?
Yes, sir. He told me that a gypsy had done it for him when he was a lad.
He is still with you? That will do, Mr. Wilson. Today is Saturday, and I hope that by Monday we may come to a conclusion. Well, Watson, what do you make of it all?
I make nothing of it. It is a most mysterious business.
As a rule, the more bizarre a thing is, the less mysterious it proves to be. But I must be prompt. What am I going to do? To smoke? It is quite a three-pipe problem, and I beg that you won't speak to me for 50 minutes.
He curled himself up in his chair, and I had come to the conclusion that he had dropped asleep when he suddenly sprang out of his chair.
Sarah Say plays at the St. James's Hall this afternoon. Could your patients spare you for a few hours?
I have nothing to do today.
Then, put on your hat and come. I am going through the city first. I observe there is a good deal of German music on the program. It is introspective, and I want to introspect. Come along.
A short walk took us to Saxe-Coburg Square. It was a poky, little, shabby-genteel place. 3 gilt balls and a brown board with JBZ Wilson announced where our red-headed client carried on his business. Finally, he returned to the pawnbroker's, and, having thumped vigorously upon the pavement with his stick 2 or 3 times, he went up to the door and knocked.
Sound of a heavy stick thumping on stone pavement, followed by a sharp knock on a door.
It was instantly opened by a bright-looking, clean-shaven young fellow.
Thank you. I only wish to ask you how you would go from here to the Strand.
3rd right, 4th left.
Smart fellow, that. He is, in my judgment, the 4th smartest man in London. I have known something of him before.
Evidently, Mr. Wilson's assistant counts for a good deal in this mystery. You inquired your way merely to see him.
Not him.
What then?
The knees of his trousers.
And what did you see?
What I expected to see. We are spies in an enemy's country. Let us now explore the parts which lie behind it.
The road behind presented a great contrast. It was one of the main arteries of the city, blocked with commerce and pedestrians.
Let me see. Mortimer's, the tobacconist, the little newspaper shop, the Coburg branch of the City and Suburban Bank, the vegetarian restaurant that carries us right on to the other block. And now, Doctor, we've done our work, so it's time we had some play.
All the afternoon he sat in the stalls wrapped in the most perfect happiness, gently waving his long, thin fingers in time to the music. In his singular character, the dual nature alternately asserted itself. I knew well he was never so truly formidable as when, for days on end, he had been lounging in his armchair. When I saw him that afternoon so enwrapped in the music, I felt that an evil time might be coming upon those whom he had set himself to hunt down.
You want to go home, no doubt, Doctor?
Yes, it would be as well.
And I have some business to do. This business at Coburg Square is serious. A considerable crime is in contemplation. I shall want your help tonight. 10 will be early enough. Be at Baker Street. And, I say, Doctor, there may be some little danger, so kindly put your army revolver in your pocket.
I was always oppressed with a sense of my own stupidity in my dealings with Sherlock Holmes. What was this nocturnal expedition, and why should I go armed? I tried to puzzle it out, but gave it up in despair. It was 9:15 when I started for Baker Street. On entering his room, I found Holmes in animated conversation with 2 men, one of whom I recognized as Peter Jones, the official police agent, while the other was a long, thin, sad-faced man.
Ha! Our party is complete. Watson, you know Mr. Jones, of Scotland Yard? let me introduce you to Mr. Merriweather, who is to be our companion in tonight's adventure.
We're hunting in couples again, Doctor, you see. Our friend here is a wonderful man for starting a chase.
I hope a wild goose may not prove to be the end of our chase.
You may place considerable confidence in Mr. Holmes, sir. He has his own little methods, a little too theoretical and fantastic, but he has the makings of a detective in him.
Oh, if you say so, Mr. Jones, it is all right. Still, I confess that I miss my rubber. It is the first Saturday night for 27 years that I have not had my rubber.
I think you will find that you will play for a higher stake tonight. For you, Mr. Merriweather, the stake will be some 30,000, and for you, Jones, it will be the man upon whom you wish to lay your hands.
John Clay, the murderer, thief, smasher, and forger. He's a young man, but he is at the head of his profession. His grandfather was a royal duke, and he himself has been to Eton and Oxford. I've been on his track for years and have never set eyes on him yet.
I hope that I may have the pleasure of introducing you tonight. It is past 10, however, and quite time that we started. If you two will take the first hansom, Watson and I will follow in the second.
Following the guidance of Mr. Merriweather, we passed down a narrow passage and through a side door. Within there was a small corridor which ended in a very massive iron gate. This led down a flight of winding stone steps to another formidable gate. Mr. Merriweather stopped to light a lantern and then conducted us down a dark, earth-smelling passage and so into a huge vault or cellar, piled all round with crates.
You are not very vulnerable from above,
Nor from below.
Sound of a stick striking stone flags.
Why, dear me, it sounds quite hollow.
I must really ask you to be a little more quiet. You have already imperiled the whole success of our expedition. Might I beg that you would have the goodness to sit down upon one of those boxes and not to interfere?
Holmes fell upon his knees and began to examine minutely the cracks between the stones.
We have at least an hour before us. We are at present, Doctor, in the cellar of the city branch of one of the principal London banks. Mr. Merriweather is the chairman of directors.
It is our French gold. We borrowed 30 Napoleons from the Bank of France. It is still lying in our cellar.
Which were very well justified. And now it is time that we arranged our little plans. I shall stand behind this crate, and do you conceal yourselves behind those. Then, when I flash a light upon them, close in swiftly.
I placed my revolver, cocked, upon the top of the wooden case. Holmes shot the slide across the front of his lantern and left us in pitch darkness.
They have but one retreat. That is back through the house into Saxe-Coburg Square. I hope that you have done what I asked you, Jones.
I have an inspector and 2 officers waiting at the front door.
Then we have stopped all the holes, and now we must be silent and wait.
What a time it seemed! My hearing was so acute that I could not only hear the gentle breathing of my companions, but could distinguish the deeper in-breath of the bulky Jones from the thin, sighing note of the bank director. Suddenly, my eyes caught the glint of a light, at first a lurid spark upon the stone pavement. Then, without warning, a gash seemed to open and a hand appeared, a white, almost womanly hand. For a minute it felt about, then was withdrawn. With a rending, tearing sound, one of the broad, white stones turned over upon its side and left a square, gaping hole. Over the edge there peeped a clean-cut, boyish face. In another instant he stood at the side of the hole and was hauling after him a companion with a pale face and a shock of very red hair.
It's all clear. Have you the chisel and the bags? Great Scott! Jump, Archie, jump, and I'll swing for it.
Inspector Sherlock Holmes had sprung out and seized the intruder by the collar. The other dived down the hole, though light flashed upon the barrel of a revolver, but Holmes's hunting crop came down on the man's wrist and the pistol clinked upon the stone floor.
It's no use, John Clay. You have no chance at all.
So, I see. I fancy that my pal is all right, though I see you have got his coattails.
There are 3 men waiting for him at the door.
Oh, indeed. You seem to have done the thing very completely. I must compliment you.
And your red-headed idea was very new and effective.
You'll see your pal again presently. Just hold out while I fix the derbies. I beg that you will not touch me with your filthy hands. You may not be aware that I have royal blood in my veins. Have the goodness, also, when you address me always to say, sir, and please. All right. Well, would you please, sir, march upstairs? That is better.
He made a sweeping bow and walked quietly off in the custody of the detective.
Really, Mr. Holmes, I do not know how the bank can thank you. You have defeated one of the most determined attempts at bank robbery that have ever come within my experience.
I have had 1 or 2 little scores of my own to settle with Mr. John Clay. I am amply repaid by having had an experience which is in many ways unique, and by hearing the very remarkable narrative of the Red-Headed League. You see, Watson, it was perfectly obvious from the first that the only possible object of this business must be to get this not over-bright pawnbroker out of the way for a number of hours every day. From the time that I heard of the assistant having come for half wages, it was obvious to me that he had some strong motive for securing the situation.
But how could you guess what the motive was?
The man's business was a small one. It must be something out of the house. I thought of the assistant's fondness for photography and his trick of vanishing into the cellar. The cellar? There was the end of this tangled clue. He was doing something in the cellar which took many hours a day. I could think of nothing, save that he was running a tunnel to some other building. When we went to visit, I was ascertaining whether the cellar stretched out in front or behind. It was not in front. Then I rang the bell. His knees were what I wished to see. You must have remarked how worn, wrinkled, and stained they were. They spoke of those hours of burrowing. I walked round the corner, saw the City and Suburban Bank abutted on our friend's premises, and felt that I had solved my problem.
And how could you tell that they would make their attempt tonight?
Well, when they closed their league offices, that was a sign that they had completed their tunnel. But it was essential that they should use it soon. Saturday would suit them better than any other day, as it would give them 2 days for their escape. For all these reasons, I expected them to come tonight.
You reasoned it out beautifully. It is so long a chain, and yet every link rings true.
It saved me from ennui. Alas, I already feel it closing in upon me. My life is spent in one long effort to escape from the commonplaces of existence. These little problems help me to do so.
And you are a benefactor of the race.
Well, perhaps, after all, it is of some little use. L'homme sait rien, l'ouvre sait tout, as Gustave Flaubert wrote to George Sand.